Hello, and welcome back to another episode of...
Now that's cinematic.
Alright, today's episode, straightforward as the title, we are going to do a Wonder Woman 1984 review. Before I jump right into this review, I do want to give a side note. I don't want to be too hard on this movie because this is a big move, one of the first big movies coming out since the pandemic. I know Tenet came out, a couple other smaller movies. It's a big movie coming out. It's one of the biggest ones since all the theaters shut down. So maybe my expectations were a little bit higher. I'm going to start there and we're going to get into this. So the movie starts out with this cool intro scene. It actually reminded me of Survivor, which I'm totally binging right now. It's on all the seasons, like all the way up to like 34, 35 are on Hulu. Watch them. But Gal Gadot or Wonder Woman, they're going through all these obstacles and she's a little girl and she's, trying to prove herself. I thought that whole sequence was cool and it started off on a good note. However, it was a little too long. And then that was the trend. Things were a little too long. So we're going to go into this next area. It goes into modern day in the movie, which is the 80s, and it goes to the small sequence. And everything is so cheesy to the point where I thought that was part of the filmmaking of the movie. I thought it was meant to be this cheesy, and I thought it was kind of the humor, the style, and then maybe it was going to get to a mature point. The cheesiness never left. It never left the movie. It was cheesy all the way through. Then there are plot holes everywhere. I just can't even explain to you how many plot holes there were. And, we're watching a superhero movie. Audiences are going to let their guard down to want to believe in Wonder Woman, That happens in superhero movies. Marvel's done it all its time. But for me, it was just the simple stuff. Like, two people are, completely different at two places, and then the next scene, they're walking and hugging each other. It's like, my understanding of an audience member is like, well, that can't happen. They were just, miles apart. And maybe that's bad editing. Maybe that was bad writing. Maybe it was both. But that's kind of how I was feeling throughout this whole movie. It was just like, I can't get there. I'm not believing that. That can't happen. I couldn't fully believe or be immersed into the movie. And that's a huge problem for a movie that's trying to be very cinematic. Story and character development were all over the place. Way too rushed. It was just... They added runtime onto things that didn't need to get runtime, and then they didn't develop other characters very well. It was just like Kristen Wiig's character was so cliche, and there was no. If it was gonna be that simple as a character, then don't give her 30 minutes of an intro. It's just jump into it. You know what I'm saying? The movie, I think, just lacked a lot of attention to detail, and that comes down to the producers, the producing team, because they're the ones that are putting all the pieces to the director, to the actors, to all that. They're distributing everything, and if they're not doing a good job in putting those in place, then all the details, all these minor things, aren't going to pull the movie together. For the first movie, Wonder Woman, I thought the fight scenes were pretty good. I mean, DC movies, I will say, as bad as they have been, besides The Dark Knights, the fight scenes in those are good. The fight scenes are always pretty good. This movie, I feel like the fight scenes are pretty lame, besides the truck scene that happened in Egypt. That had a pretty cool visual element to it, but I thought the fight scenes were way too slow. On a side note, Cheetah, Kristen Wiig's the villain, in the final sequence, she turns into a little cheetah apex predator, which I thought was just kind of dumb. But for some reason, I couldn't get over how much she moved and looked like a Call of Duty zombie. I just couldn't get over it. You gotta check that out. On a positive note, they do have some good actors in it. I thought Pedro Pascal just was the best actor of the movie. I feel like as soon as his character hit the screen, it's like he stole the spotlight. Obviously, his character development in endgame or ending scenes weren't that good because that was the writing. Because I know he's capable of good acting, and there was parts of the movie where I thought, hands down, he's stealing this movie away. If this movie's going to be good, it's because of him. He does a very good job. I love Chris Pine, so he doesn't have a lot to do in this movie, I felt like. But he does a good job. I love Chris Pine. Something that really bothered me. When I saw Hans Zimmer, the composer for this movie, come up, I got so excited because Hans Zimmer has done some of the best soundtracks for movies, best scores ever. And there's a sequence in the movie, probably like the biggest, turning point for Wonder Woman, when she has to let go and do all these, next step to beat the villains, to overcome. They use a typical score that I've heard time and time again. And that just really bothered me. When you have Hans Zimmer doing your music, you can do better. You can write original stuff. He's one of the best composers. Now, I don't know if it was him that made that decision. Maybe he was lazy. Maybe we went into COVID and they were still writing the score, so they just had to buy one. I get that. But this song is so good. The first time I heard it was in Sunshine, the movie by Danny Boyle. It's one of the best indie movies I've ever seen. It's a fantastic song. I will never doubt that. It's amazing. But for as big as movie as this and as big as composer as this, write your original stuff. Because you could be coming up with just as good of a song that is belong to Wonder Woman theme. It's just, that really bothered me. This movie just had all the good endpoints and subjects and ideas to put together a good movie. I thought the ending plot was good. I thought, the cast was good. I even all the arcs were there to be made. I just felt like they just couldn't connect from point A to point B. They couldn't bring the audience from there to there. All the middle sequence of stuff just failed. It was a 2 hours and 35 minute runtime. I thought they could have just cut a whole bunch of it. It could have just been, 2 hours and 10 minutes, or even just 2 hours. There was a bunch of stuff they could have just cut out, sped up, got to the point. I just wish they would have focused, instead of trying to fill that 2 hours and 35 minutes runtime, but to instead focus on those cinematic scenes that make or break movies, and they would have put the time and energy into making those, then we would have had a different movie altogether, because then those scenes would have been so much better. Overall, disappointed. My prediction is that this movie will end the DC universe that was associated with Justice League altogether. Wonder Woman was the one good thing that came out of it. I know Aquaman did all right money-wise, but I just think that they're just going to scrap it. I think the Aquaman sequel is going to get scrapped. I think the Flash sequel is going to get scrapped. I know they've been having issues with Ezra. So I just think that whole thing is just done. I think DC's just going to move on, since they're shining light from that area to not do so well. They already are starting to press the reset button on this universe. We got the new Batman franchise coming up. We got the new, remake of the Suicide Squad coming. I just think they're just going to hit scrap, and they're just going to put these new things in action, and they're going to put those in the forefront, and they're just going to abandon these altogether. That is my short review of Wonder Woman. I hope I didn't ruin anything for you. I hope you had seen the movie before you watched this video. But thank you for watching. I have a couple of different videos that I have coming out very shortly. I have a video talking about all the Disney news that just came out, because there's so much that they just released on that conference call. I have all the titles that are going to be coming to HBO Max in 2021 because of all the Warner Brothers news and updates. And I also have the review of Soul. So please like this video, subscribe, because I got more content coming to you very soon. Again, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Now that's cinematic.